just realized how, like...
Near enough? Yes, dear. We're having a conversation through our t-shirts.
Right. So you will notice that Mike and I have tissues. This is the update, our medical update, that today we met with my oncologist, Dr. ZZ Top. And
to discuss the results of the latest body scan that she had done last week or something to that effect. Mm-hmm. So we got the results on my chart, and then we had, I think on Monday or on Tuesday, and then we had a chance to talk to our oncologist today to discuss the results, the findings. Obviously, we're kind of hoping that the chemo's still doing its thing. It's still kicking Toby's ass type situation. Unfortunately, that's not the case. One of the masses did shrink, which is good. One of the masses grew, and there was a new mass found in her right lung, and a tiny baby mass was found in her liver. So that means that the chemotherapy is no longer being effective. We only got 5 months out of chemo before it started not working anymore, which is...
Originally, we had asked like how soon, in her expert opinion, like what the average is for Taxol to basically run its course, because basically Taxol, I was going to be doing chemo. There was no end until either one, the tumor stopped responding, or two, my quality of life was not there. And unfortunately, she had quoted us 6 to 8 months, and I decided to...
You didn't decide.
I didn't decide. Toby decided.
Toby decided that after 5 months he was going to get stronger. It's becoming a very aggressive little bastard. So it's now, it's spreading, and the chemotherapy is not working. So that means we have to go to Plan B, which is very unfortunate, because with the triple negative breast cancer, you don't have a lot after like A, B, C, and maybe D. It's like the degrees of effectiveness drop as you go into like C's and D's and B's. Plan A was supposed to be the one that gave us the most longevity, and that only lasted for 5 months. So we have no idea what the prognosis timeline looks like, because we don't know how she's going to respond, or how Toby's going to respond to the next infusion medicine that we're going to be working on, which is Trifaldi, right? Trifaldi.
No, I've said it so many times.
We've said it so many times, and we had a little Trodelvy.
Yes.
So we're going to be doing Trodelvy infusions starting in a couple of weeks, and then obviously we're not going to know how effective that is until we do a scan after a few infusions. So it's really just try this new thing, and then hope for the best with the next scans. And we discussed there's another one that we can try after that, but like the further down the line you get, the less effective they are, and the less time it's going to be effective for.
And greater
side effects. Right.
So the Trodelvy, the side effects are going back to...
Trodelvy is going to aggressively kill white blood cells. So that means she has to go back to getting Neulasta shots in order to try and rebuild the white blood cells quicker. And those are not fun. We found that out from the first time we did this in 2022. We had to get Neulasta shots after the Taxotere.
Basically what they do is they just kill all your blood cells.
Nuke all the white blood cells.
And then the next morning they give you a shot to bring them all back up. But the injection goes into your bone marrow, and is basically the equivalent of having an electric shock go through the middle of your bones, with no say in the matter of when, how strong, how long. Mm-hmm. So when she told me that was going to be the case, I was I think we both looked at each other and were like,
We just know, like, oh no, this is gonna suck, but it's what we have to do to keep her alive as long as possible.
Trodelvy also, my hair, I was growing a little bit of fuzz.
It was coming back, and it was coming back well, but one of the side effects of the Trodelvy is that it's going to kill the hair follicles again. So she just went up today when we got home and just shaved it all off. It's like, well, let's just go back to the clean look.
Yeah, I don't want to be the, like, just trying too hard to have hair and have it not be really.
Just you fighting the losing battle with the hair. You're like, nope.
It's like, no, I'd rather just be bald instead of trying to fake myself into thinking that I have hair.
You can grow your hair back.
So
yeah.
Anyway, so it sucks. It sucks hard. We'll do 2 infusions and then 1 week off. She did warn us that the majority, it's not chemo, it's a protein, or like, I forget how she explained it. I'm sure people have seen commercials on Trodelvy. They're everywhere. And listen to all the like side effects.
It's not fun.
Like, anywho, so we'll see how that goes. We did ask again the $1 million question. How long does she think this will last, right? Mm-hmm. And her guess, and again, it is just a guess. We could go shorter, we could go longer. Yeah. It could not even do anything. Yeah. Average is, again, still the
6 months.
5-6 months.
Yeah. Just
like that. So
we're hoping Toby doesn't get wind of it quickly and he starts fighting back.
As you can see, the treatment that I'm having is not giving me big numbers. It's giving me months at a time. So even though I'm fighting this battle, I will lose this battle sooner than later. Yeah.
So we're trying to make the most of the time that we have left, because we're not sure of how much time we have left. If you've seen our previous video about January, it's like she got all this stuff in there and she's doing all this fun stuff, and like that was back when we had a little bit of hope that the chemotherapy was still working. But now we're faced with the realization that, you know, we may not even have a year left. So we're trying to fit as much joy and as many experiences together as possible in whatever time we have left, and try and, you know, have her quality of life be as good as possible. And we know it's not a great update, but it's the realistic update of like where we stand right now. So.
Yep. As part of my journey, my cancer journey, I really have struggled to celebrate the wins, and my core group of people have been doing wonderful about celebrating the wins for me. Mm-hmm. But I did earlier in the month, I ended up finding a kind of like a support group that
was more in line with what your situation is: metastatic triple negative breast cancer.
So while I have a ton of people in my life supporting me who have also gone through this diagnosis, 99% of them are hormone positive. So they just can't, even the groups that I go to, I'm always like that doesn't apply to me. And it can really do a number on your mental state when you're in all these groups and none of them apply, or they're like, I'm 10 years out.
And great for them. Like, it's awesome that they get that time, but it's just, it's a little rough when they're like, well, have you tried this? This gave me an extra 10 years. Like, it doesn't apply. Have you tried this? It made me feel great. Like, it doesn't apply. And it's kind of a lonely place to be in. So she found a triple negative breast cancer group, which is great because they all know they're all kind of on the same path.
They're all metastatic as well.
And some of them were like, I'm 6 years out. Like, I'm 6 years since my diagnosis. And like, that was very uplifting. We're like, okay, like there's a chance.
It was the first time I okay, like, and how silly is that to be excited for 5 years? Like, if someone told you had 5 years left to live,
you'd be bummed.
You'd be like distraught. But I'm at the point like, oh God, I hope I can at least get 5 years, because right now we're looking at 2.
Yeah, we're looking at 2 on average before we knew anything, and now we're down even more than that because chemo was our best shot. Now, that's not to say that, Trodelvy might be, the average is 6 months, so we may hit the high end of that average. But given every time we get hopeful about something, Toby comes back and just kicks our ass about it, we're having a hard time being optimistic, being positive about it. And I think a lot of that's going to be superstition of like, well, maybe if we don't celebrate it, Toby will just shut the fuck up, and we can, sneak in a few more years. So,
one thing that I will say is not real helpful in these scenarios is folks basically saying like, well, I could die tomorrow. And you explained it a little bit better.
The whole about it's the situation where it's like, it could be worse, right? If you're like, well, I have blah blah blah, it's like, well, it could be worse. You could be, you could be living in a third world country, or you could be, paralyzed or hit by a bus or things like that. And sure, those things are true, but it immediately dismisses the situation that we're in. So if you're ever in a situation where you're going to say, well, things can be worse,
or everybody could die, I could die tomorrow.
Yeah, stop that, because it doesn't help. Think of something else to say. That's the best advice that we can give, because it's very dismissive of the situation that you're in. It's like, yeah, it could be worse, but you know what? It's not. It's happening to us. Let us, express and live in this without giving us a situation where, oh, it could be worse than what you have. Well, yeah, it could, but it's still bad. So don't dismiss it with a comment. Sometimes what people say just on reflex,
and we know, and
it's not malicious.
It's never malicious. And
so it's more of a just.
We try really hard.
It's a PSA for if you're talking to someone who's in a bad situation and you say it could be worse, it's a bad thing to say.
And that's
because it could be worse, but you know what? It could be better.
Right.
So,
and it's the equivalent of like someone going about their day, looking in the rearview mirror and seeing the sun setting and a beautiful sunset, and I look in the rearview mirror and death, and is just like hanging. The Grim Reaper is just waiting to he's
chasing you down.
He's chasing me down, and I'm trying to speed away, and I will say I have an amazing team. Everybody is just so kind. Sorry, once I start. But everybody has been so kind, and we just can't thank you guys enough about the support and the comments and I had
and answering her texts late at night when I'm asleep and she wants to talk to somebody.
Yep. So, yeah, that's the update. We'll let you guys know how the infusions go with Trodelvy.
We'll give you a February update of all the cool things that we did in February. So it's not all just a dig downer, but
Right.
this is an update that we wanted to put out there so that, you know, people are curious about how the cancer journey going, and, you know, you're not surprised when we say things like we may not have a year left. And you're like, well, wait a minute, what, did I miss something? We'll just say watch the video.
I love you.
I love you. All right. Thanks, guys.